Raring to go.
Cool, cool. So you played with the Danzig last night as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we did two nights with Danzig.
And how are they in person?
Didn't talk to anyone.
How?
Didn't talk to them.
Didn't talk to them?
No.
Are you a fan of the band, actually?
Yeah, I fucking love them. I mean,
Really?
the first two albums, you know, I loved them. And when we got offered the chance to support them, we all went, yeah, because we all loved the first two albums. So, so it was really good. He played, you know, I was singing, I went out into the crowd and watched them both nights as well. So, just because the last time I saw Danzig was 1988 spotting Metallica, and he stormed off stage halfway through the set, so I didn't really see that much.
That's quite.
So it was quite good to see it. But no, the shows were good, really good shows actually.
I never quite managed to get into that band. I'm obsessed with the Mother.
Yeah.
It was just those days when I was a teenager, I was running around on VH1, and I just fell in love with it. The rest, nothing. I lived in Serbia as a teenager. I'm Czech, but I lived since I was 14 until 18. Plus, it was 2 years after the NATO bombing, so they had some disgusting approach to the foreigners.
Yeah.
But I fell in love with the song, and they were selling the copies CDs on the streets illegally and half legally because cops were giving some money and piss off.
Yeah.
And I bought the whole discography MP3 just because of the one song.
Yeah.
Did it ever happen to you when you just had a teenager move, one song, and I'm buying everything? I'm just falling in love with the band.
Yeah.
What was the name of the band the last time you did that?
Last time I did that was probably actually they're a sort of a folky band called Midlake. Actually, they had an album called The Courage of Others, and Nick actually put up a video. He got it off Ricky Gervais had actually tweeted about him, and he put the video up, and it's just such a beautiful song. I literally just bought all the records at once based off that one video.
I love
So it was the same thing. That was about 12 years ago, or something like that. 10 years ago, something like that. But yeah, no. It does happen, doesn't it? Sometimes you hear something, you go, wow, that's amazing. You just buy everything, don't you? It's cool. But I mean, they did have quite a lot of good songs, so I was lucky.
Right. I'm glad you're talking about Nicky Gervais because I'm a stand-up comedy fan as well. But when I spoke to Greg a few times, he was telling me about Saxondale.
Yeah.
TV series. You apparently watch that guys all the time in the bus.
Yeah.
I was trying to. I watched the first episode. It's like, it's really not that perfect for me, especially because of all the accent. I didn't have the subtitles.
Yeah.
But I believe you guys, it fits. It perfectly fits to your moods, to your type of humor, and I believe you're obsessed with the show, right?
Yeah, we love the guy Steve Coogan who does that. He's got another show called Alan Partridge, another character, and we're completely obsessed with him. Yeah. So, but yeah, no, Saxondale's great though, really good.
British comedy is quite unique. Personally, whenever I get sick, I watch Come Fly With Me.
Oh, yeah.
It's from the guys from Little Britain.
Yeah,
Little Britain can be quite disgusting sometimes.
Yeah, it
Too
can,
disgusting. But Come Fly With Me
It's funny.
It's incredible. I used to study marketing in Barcelona, and I was going by planes all the time, and it just fitted perfectly into my mood, into everything. So Come Fly With Me for you as well?
Yeah. That's very good actually. We've all watched that. I mean, British comedy, we kind of watch them all really.
Right, including Black Books.
Black Books actually not so much. I've watched them a bit, but I don't know if the rest of the guys have. But I think Steve might have watched them. But yeah, I like Bill Bailey. I think he's hilarious. So.
He's insane.
He's a nice guy as well. Yeah, big Opeth fan.
Absolutely.
He loves his rock music.
We're fine. We're absolutely fine. All good. Have you watched Dylan Moran sometime on a stand-up comedy as a solo show?
No, I haven't. No. I know you mean the guy that the bit weird.
Yeah,
the black
guy. Was my wine.
Yeah, the neurological guy. Yeah, he's a bit psychopath. But yeah, no, I've seen a little bit of him in something else as well. I can't remember what it was, but he kind of always plays the same sort of character. It's kind of
absolutely.
But no, I've never seen his stand-up though. Is it good?
Yeah, absolutely. And he's insanely popular in Czech Republic.
Oh, right.
The Black Books is one of the top 5 TV shows ever, from Friends, Simpsons, and Black Books. Whenever I go by train and I watch the guys watching something on a laptop, it's always bloody Black Books.
Yeah, right.
People just obsessed with that because we're also books-loving country. Wine, cigarettes, it all fits here. And when he was coming for the first stand-up, it was sold out Friday. So they added one more show, sold out Saturday, and then sold out Sunday. This guy is just like absolutely insanely popular.
Yeah, right.
I think Bill Bailey will barely manage, but Dylan Moran is absolutely insanely popular in Czech Republic.
That's amazing, isn't it? I mean, he probably had no idea really. Do you know what I mean? Until
it's just like random, like guy.
It's like, hang on a minute, we've sold out 3 nights. It's like that must have been bizarre for him.
Yeah. Also, Louis C.K.
Oh, yeah,
the first time in coming to Czech Republic.
Nick
Also
loves
popular.
Louis C.K. Nick and Greg actually. I think. Both love him, yeah.
Cool. Let's go for a little bit of the gear, because the Musicus I work for, I will give you adequate space, is a gear-oriented magazine.
Okay.
So please tell us, our readers, about the gear you rely on a tour.
Well, it starts with a guitar. I've been touring for the last few years with a pair of ESP E2s, Eclipses. Do you know what? Nothing ever goes wrong with them. You know, I've even got a sort of what you would call a budget ESP. I've got like an LTD 407 at home, which was the first one they sent me because I needed a guitar for a video, and that was the only one they had in stock. So they sent me that, and I play it all the time at home. It's great. So even the sort of lower price end is still really good. But the E2s have been fantastic. I'm a bare knuckle endorser for a long time, so I've got a pair of bare knuckle Blackhawks in there, in both of them. I have both guitars set exactly the same, so if one goes down, I plug it in. I don't have to.
Right.
I mean, if you're doing a different sound, then fair enough, change your guitars for a different type. But, I mean, I'm a rhythm guy, so I'm playing that sound pretty much only. That and the acoustic sound, you know. But yeah, no, bare knuckle pickups. They've got like the 500 CP pots on them as well. Bare knuckle have been brilliant with me over the years, absolutely brilliant. So I've probably been using them for about 7 years or something, something like that. But yeah, no, the move to 7-string was a weird one at first when we first did it for Faith Divides Us. But now it's weird when I play because I collect. No, I don't say I collect guitars, but I've got quite a number of guitars that I've bought myself over the years. And one of the Gibsons I've got, it's got like the 50s neck, but it's really chunky. And I always preferred the thinner necks until I played 7-strings. Now it feels small, so I can play that guitar all the time now. But yeah, no,
so it's not weird. You're getting used to it.
Yeah, I mean the neck profile on the E2s is perfect for me because I've played other 7-strings in the past, and they're beautifully made guitars. But the neck profile was never quite. Because I've got quite small hands really for playing a 7-string, especially when I've got it down here.
Oh yeah.
It's hard because then you get cramp and everything down here. But the neck profile on those ESPs are great, to be honest. I use Elixir strings. Because we tune down as one tone, so it's like A, D, G, C, F, A, D. So it's everything down one tone. And the Elixir strings I have to use because I'm allergic to nickel and a few other metals.
I heard few examples like that.
Yeah, because that's why I've got no jewellery. I don't even wear my wedding ring.
Are you wearing it here?
No, I can't wear a chain.
Yeah, anywhere.
I can't wear any jewellery.
Right.
It's I get a allergic reaction, which is a shame because there's some lovely rock jewellery out there, especially like Great Frog, people like that. But anyway, so I use Elixir strings, and they've been phenomenal. They're good. They're also great because they keep the tone longer, I think, than normal. I used to use stainless steels anyway, but the Elixir ones, because they're coated, the tone seems to last a lot longer, especially when I'm sweating. I do sweat sometimes, quite a lot on stage, and they're very good for that, you know. We've got a guy in Germany called Lars Richter. He makes our straps. They're the finest leather straps you can buy. No, but they're, do you know what? They're fantastic, and he's great because he's actually a metal fan, and he's like, oh, do you want to? He gets excited when you want a new strap off him. It's pretty cool. And he comes to the gigs and stuff like that. It's really cool. And then amp-wise, we sort of vary between Kempers and Line 6s. If we're sort of on the tour bus or we're not flying, we generally take the Kempers. We take the Kempers sometimes when we fly, but it's just for the space and the size. We take a pair. Me and Greg both use like a Line 6 HD 500X because they're built like tanks. They don't take any space up, and because the problem with a travelling musician these days is the excess you have to pay when you're flying for all the gear.
Absolutely.
So yeah, with a lot of flying gigs, we take those. But I try to keep things simple. I mean, Greg uses in-ears and a wireless pack. But I don't move a lot, so I literally just a cable straight in, non-active pickups, nice and simple,
Understood. So how would you say you pair up with Greg? I was always wondering it because I spoke to Greg a number of times. I spoke to Nick a number of times. I was just wondering. I wanted to, after all those years, spoke to you as well. And I'm just wondering how is the connection, because it feels that Greg wants to, show up a little bit. And you're staying in the back like, cool, have fun, Greg. I'm keeping my way here. How do you?
No, that's why it works, because the dynamic is I've got no interest in being the lead guitarist at all. I want to be a drummer, to be honest. My first love is drums. But
You
then
had so many options to be a drummer. You changed how many? 5 drummers
I know.
in the history of the band?
I know. But yeah, my mum wouldn't let me have a drum kit when I was a kid, so mainly because, and I thought she was just being a bit mean, but she wasn't. When I think about it, I had like 2 sisters who were 1 and 2 years old, and my mum wasn't getting much sleep, and me playing drums wouldn't have helped as well. So yeah, I'm naturally left-handed, like Greg. But a friend of mine at school was selling a right-handed guitar for like £10 in like 1984 when I started playing. So I bought it off him with my paper round money, and that was the start of me playing guitar. But I always like, you know, Rudy Schenken, James Hetfield, Malcolm Young. These were people that made me realise that you can be a rhythm guitarist and that's okay. You know,
Right.
I just want to play riffs. I mean, that's what, you know, I love playing riffs. You know.
I heard that same from Max Keller. Max Keller is sitting down in the living room, enjoying the evening and just coming out with the riffs. Nothing huge, but coming out with the riffs. Do you do that the same?
Yeah, I mean,
your peaceful evening.
I do a bit of all sorts of, because I play a lot of acoustic guitar as well. So I'll sit quite happily with like either an acoustic guitar or a Strat or something. You know what I mean? And just sort of with a clean sound and tinkle away. So. Depends on your mood. That's the beautiful thing about music, you know. And then there's other days you just want to go, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then other days you just want to sit down and, I don't know, learn Cure songs or something, you know. So it's kind of, that's the beautiful thing about, you know, the guitar. It's such a versatile instrument. You know. It's great.
Absolutely. When we're talking about Greg and the roles in the band, I was just wondering, in comparison, how many interviews do the guys like Nick and Greg? They usually do most of the interviews.
Yeah, I mean,
how do you again? You probably do not take that much of an interest to do interviews all the time. These guys.
No,
so do you enjoy it more when you do interviews, or are you saying like, give me a space sometimes?
No. The thing is, we've always all done the interviews. You know, I mean, Nick and Greg obviously they do more because people want to talk to them because they're the songwriters. But no, I've always done loads of interviews. I kind of like it. I like chatting and I like meeting new people, and it's, you know, and if somebody's willing to give us the time, I'm more than happy, you know.
Lovely.
So it's, we always do loads. It's just that Nick and Greg do so many when they do a press trip when an album comes out that they don't really want to do them on the road. So, but I'm always like, yeah, I'll do them. I don't mind, you know. You bring your fair share, I'll do some as well. You know. We've always been very much a share the work kind of band, you know.
But I also feel Greg is always trying, but Nick probably as well, but it seems like, okay, he's doing so many interviews, he cannot probably get excited for every bloody interview and to be sharing. I feel you have to keep a balance to be excited to talk.
Yeah.
Especially when they're doing 3 or 4 days in a row and everybody's asking the same bloody questions.
Yeah.
I think it must be tiring to those guys.
I don't know, if they have a beer, they soon lighten up. beer usually helps, I think. But
right.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't drink before a show, but I mean, Greg has a few, but that's just his thing. I used to do years ago, and then I don't know, about 17 years ago, just one day I thought, I'm not going to have a drink today before I go on. So I used to have like half a pint of Jack Daniels, half a pint of Coke in a pint glass.
Lenny style.
For the hour before I went on, then I'd take another half a pint of Jack Daniels on stage with me. So it was like, and there was a point where it was just like, even when smelling the Jack, I was like, oh, good grief, not again. But so now I like the reward system of like, you come off stage after a gig and it's like, you know.
Yeah.
I quite like that. It's nice.
I heard that some time ago from.
Plus, with the way I move on stage, it helps me keep my balance a lot easier if I'm sober.
Right. I heard it some time ago in a Foo Fighters documentary. Not saying I'm a fan, but they were saying after all those years they were looking for some sort of excitement. So they had 1 shot before the show, 5 shots before the show. I guess it had to be one weird night where you say, okay, this is taking too much influence on me. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna keep it as a reward.
Yeah.
Was it something like that?
Yeah, it was kind of
learning experience.
It became a routine rather than a pleasure.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah, it doesn't. It should not be that way.
Sometimes I will. Sometimes Steve will go, "Come on, let's have a Jaeger." Literally just before we walk out and say, "Come on, let's have a Jaeger." And that's it. We'll just have that one. You know. But yeah, no, there's no rules really. I mean, if I'm having dinner, I'll have a glass of wine with dinner. You know, but I do like my wine. So usually after the show, either Guinness or a few wines.
I'm missing a Guinness. You should try Kozel Czech beer dark.
Yeah,
I think you should have it. It's beautiful.
Yeah. You can get it in the UK sometimes as well.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah, on draft as well.
Are you a soccer fan?
Yes.
Football.
Yeah.
Going with my dad sometimes around the 6th of October, Liverpool, Manchester City, to see it live. Which two football team do you support?
Leeds United.
Once again?
Leeds.
Leeds,
United.
of course, Leeds. Oh, come on, legendary team, Leeds.
But you know, it was when I was a kid, I remember the Liverpool team of the 70s, you know, with Toshak, Alan and Ray Kennedy, you had Kenny Dalglish, you had Alan Hansen, you know. That team, and I mean the Leeds team of the 60s and 70s was great, but on a Saturday night when they were showing the highlights of games, that Liverpool team was great. So I've always had a soft spot for Liverpool. And Man City I quite like as well. They're a good team. I like Pep, and especially more recently, I love Pep Guardiola's style of play. You know, I tried to watch. I like Klopp, so that will be a great game to go to. It could be 5-5.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, mate.
You know, but I was really pleased. I've got friends, German journalists, and they're like, you know, Borussia Dortmund fans. When Klopp was there, it's like I sort of knew about him through them. When he came to the UK, I was like, oh, this would be great because he actually looks like he's funny in German. You know,
yeah. Hardcore.
But he's great. I think he's brought a nice character to the
Absolutely.
And there's James Milner, the Liverpool player. He's ex-Leeds as well. So Man City have got a couple of ex-Leeds players as well, like Fabian Delph is 1-for-1. Yeah. And my fantasy team, I've got a fantasy football team. Me and a bunch of friends in London, we all do this fantasy league every year. And I spent nearly all my money on the first two players. I bought Harry Kane and Sergio Aguero. And it was like I had like a 60 million budget, and I've spent like 40 million just on them two. So yeah, I nearly spent all my money in the first two rounds. So I was just sat on my arse waiting for the rest of them to spend the money. But yeah, no, I've got a lot of time for Man City and Liverpool. Plus, they both hate Man United, that I hate as well, so that's all right.
Cheers.
Hate's a strong word. I don't hate Man United, but they're like a rival for Leeds.
Absolutely.
They're also Man City and Liverpool are both rivals for Man United as well. So.
But it's still the best football league in the world. Just personally, Barcelona fan.
I'm hoping Leeds can get back in there. You know, it'd be great. So, I mean, even last weekend we're in the second division in the Championship, and we had 35,000 people. You know, it's good going. Good going. We beat Stoke 3-1. And they've just come down. They're the favourites.
Crouch was still playing for Stoke back then?
Yeah, no, he came on about the 70th minute.
Classic. Typical.
Yeah, just get him on and just launch balls at Peter Crouch. He's great though, Peter Crouch. I love him. He comes across as a really nice fella, actually. You know.
I can imagine.
But no, I am a good fan. Steve is a little bit. He spots Bradford City, his hometown, and none of the other guys give a shit about football. They hate it, in fact. Although they did watch some of the World Cup games when we were at festivals this summer, and they had them on. So the World Cup kind of people who don't really like football will watch it. You know.
I was always cheering for England. I'm glad this year you finally showed some quality.
Yeah, well, this is the first England team in years that I've wanted to do well, because for the last 15 years they've looked like a bunch of millionaires who can't be arsed.
Yeah, who didn't give a shit about it.
Yeah.
But this national year, team, they care only for their clubs.
Yeah, this year it looked like there were some young, hungry players wanting to fight for the shirt.
Exactly.
So they were worth my support, you know. Like the last European Championships I was supporting Iceland a bit, so I wanted Iceland to do well.
Sure.
You know.
Right.
But yeah, no, it was good to see England finally having a team that wants to bloody play for the shirt. And it changed everyone's attitude in the country as well. Everybody loved it, you know, in the UK. So, well, in England, sorry.
And I'm glad in the middle of our football interview you were mentioning your specific moves on the stage. It's so typical. Does it help you, those moves, to keep the balance, keep the rhythm?
Yeah, it's kind of, it's one of the sound guys who said, you're like the metronome.
Yeah.
For keeping the drummer in time, which is out of order because our drummer's excellent. But actually, all our drummers have been excellent.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I saw Adrian last night. Adrian came to the gig last night.
Glad to see that.
So it was nice to see him as well.
He's doing great. He's playing here at the Gates.
Is he Saturday, Sunday, not Friday, Sunday? I can't remember. Yeah, he said last night. I think he's here this weekend. I think he's at we're playing another festival in Holland as well this week, and he's going to be at that as well. So. Cool. He's a good lad. He doesn't live too far from me, so me and Adrian sort of both live in London, so I still keep in touch with him quite a lot. So he's a funny fella. Good fun.
Yeah. When you were talking about the guitar and moving to 7th string, you mentioned Fate Divides Us album. I fell in love with your band. To be fully honest, before I knew about you guys, but that album just changed my life at that point. Plus, I just joined the first magazine I worked for. It was a hard rocker. It was originally a Polish version. It moved to Czech Republic, and it was the first front cover I ever did. Right. Now I work for the Gear Oriented magazine, and my room is packed with front covers. But my first front cover is a Paradise Lost.
Oh, right.
It meant so much to me back then. And that album I bought that craziest Deluxe Limited I Should Find a Doctor edition.
Yeah.
And that album is amazing. Yeah. Plus, from that point, I believe you guys were getting better and better. I believe there was a changing point in your career when you were expected the crazy heights, experimental ages, coming back to know where you exactly want, and boom, and I think you found it with the Fates Divide Us That Unites Us.
To be honest, the song itself, Fates Divide Us definitely is one of my favourite ones to play live. I love that song. I love playing it. So we are playing it tonight, I think, as well. We played it last night, so I think it's in this set.
That's really good.
Yeah, no, it's one of my absolute favourites. I really love that song. No, because that's the thing with Paradise Lost. We write the music for our own pleasure first, you know. So we're all fans of what we do, you know. I fucking love it.
Right. And I believe also another breaking point happened with the song Beneath Broken Earth.
Yeah.
Apparently, when you start doing that, it's so slow, so perfect, so fucking heavy, and it fits. And I believe it was Greg telling me, okay, it was the last song you wrote for a certain album, literally and then it influenced you for the rest of these days.
Yeah, funnily enough, I did an interview yesterday and I was sort of mentioning this. It was literally, Greg sent it me about 2 or 3 weeks before we went in the studio for the album. And he knows I'm a massive, me and Greg fucking love Doom and Harmony. We both absolutely love that side. And he sent it me and said, tell me what you think of this. I put it on at home and I was like, fuck, that's brilliant. No, it's like, but when we were recording it, me and Greg were like kids, we were like, oh, it sounds brilliant, doesn't it? No, we were like fucking 13 again or something, do you know what I mean? But we still get like that about it. But no, Beneath Broken Earth is a great live song. We're not playing it today, I don't think, but it sounds really weighty.
Yeah.
It sounds great live.
We talked shortly about the time you spent on a tour with a TV series and stand-up comedy, but any other activities you do on a tour to invest that time well in reading books, something decent, learning
I read a lot
new
of
languages?
Because a lot of the time, especially when we're doing flying shows, I'm the only one that lives in London, so I fly on my own all the time. So I've got a Kindle fully loaded with loads of stuff, and I just read. Put some headphones in, chill out, read a book. My favourite thing. I do occasionally watch some like Netflix or something like that, but I'd rather read a book, to be honest. If I had a choice between taking a laptop and a Kindle, it'd be a tough choice, to be honest, but I'd always take the Kindle on top. You know, because I can literally lose myself in books for hours. I love it.
Cool.
Most of them I read. I like factual books, but there's a lot of historical fiction I actually the ones I'm reading at the minute by Bernard Cornwell, I'm reading. It's called the Warrior series, but it's like The Last Kingdom, and it's about the Danish and the Saxons fighting. It's like, you know, in the 9th century and stuff. It's got like fictional characters in between. It's brilliant.
I think my dad is reading that book.
Yeah,
he's really obsessed with. He was telling me about
the BBC did a series from the first book called The Last Kingdom, and it's really good. Steve's obsessed with it. He said it's brilliant. You've got to watch it. I said, well, I'm going to buy the books. I'll read the books instead.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was about a few weeks ago, and I'm like nearly finishing the 4th book. I've just I don't read much at home. I only read when I travel.
Yeah.
Really. So it's like, but yeah. So that's all I've been doing is like, they're great books. Yeah. Right. He's the same guy who wrote the Sharp series. You know, that Sean Bean was in. It's the same author that wrote those books as well. So yeah, but really good. And other books are like based in like Tudor Britain. You know, like Henry VIII and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
But yeah, no, and then I like scientific nerdy fact books as well. Yeah, no, it depends. Sometimes once I've read a bunch of fiction, I want to read a fact book for a bit just to mix it up.
Understood.
Like a small history of nearly everything, or almost nearly everything.
Daniel Gindelow from Pain of Salvation was telling me about that book. I borrowed it to my friend. When he told me about it, I bought it right away. It was some really weird crisis. It was the after breakup 3 years ago for me, and I bought it few more books, and I borrowed it to one of my friends who's an actor, and he's obsessed with these things. Like, here's for you, and 6 months to give it back to me.
Yeah.
How is that book?
Brilliant. He's also got another book called At Home, right? It's smaller than the Small History because that's quite a big book. It's a lot smaller, but it's about the history of items in the house and how they came to be in all certain rooms, and also certain sayings. There's like there's loads of sayings that we have in English, and people don't really know where they come from. It's like sleep tight and don't let the bed bugs bite. But that goes back to a time when people used to have ropes holding up the straw on the bed, so they weren't getting bitten by ticks and mites on the floor. So if the ropes got slack, they were too close enough to the floor to get bitten by insects.
Right.
So that comes from there. But is it At Home by him as well?
I'll
really
do that.
rich. Definitely
Try it out.
That was good fun. That was great.
If I can be slightly philosophical, what would be the book you would recommend to yourself at the age of 30 to read?
Age of 30. That is a tough one because there's so many books I love.
I will help you out a little bit with that question because
What was yours?
I just turned 30 on 24/7,
Right.
and I spoke to Ziggy Marley 1 month ago on a Carlos of Ostrava festival in my hometown, and I'm just experiencing. I used to, and I work for a Radegast brand, covering under Pilsner Urquell. I'm a marketing guy, and all of my friends, it can be perfect journalist, perfect actor, perfect businessman, perfect architect, and it seems we're all going through what my girlfriend says. It's a Jesus Christ crisis days, crisis age, and we're all thinking, are we going the right direction? They're telling me we're all tired, we have nothing to go for, and I started doing meditation to we find the direction. And I asked the same question to Ziggy. I would like to ask you. You're turning 50 soon. What would you tell to us, turning 30 and being sometimes confused, to calm us down and point us in the right direction?
Right. I actually talk about 30s particularly quite a lot because I truly believe, I think people, when they're in their 30s, they make the best friendships and partnerships, because I think during your 20s you're still trying to be what you think other people want you to be, or you're trying to be cool for them. But I think when you get into your 30s, you learn who you are yourself, and then it's easier for other people to. It's not like you're putting a front or I'm this guy. You're yourself, and they in turn are honestly themselves with you. And I think your 30s are the best period for that, because you get to a point where it's like, all right, I don't need to act like that bullshit. I'm kind of all right, And other people are the same, and I think you meet more like-minded people easier in your 30s. You know what? It's a fucking great decade. Enjoy your 30s. I absolutely love my 30s.
Cheers, mate.
And the other thing I would say is like when people say, I said when I realised I was turning 50 next year, I was like, but when I hit 50, I'll punch the air, because getting older is better than the alternative.
Yeah.
What do I want to do? Be dead or get older? Get older, please. So I mean, grasp life with both hands. Enjoy it.
Perfect.
There's a lot of great things out there. Don't think there's nothing you can't do. You can make things happen yourself. Mm-hmm. But I would definitely say the 30s are when you really become who you are, and it makes it easier for people to know who you are, truly. And likewise the other way around. So I think you're at the start of a very, very amazing decade.
Cheers, mate.
Seriously, enjoy it. It's
Appreciate it. Getting older also, I guess, means being totally okay with your history. Yeah. And this year, you Nuclear Blast release of The Host.
Yeah.
And I spoke, and I'm not going to ask the typical journalistic questions about those tough days. I believe you did what you wanted to do. Let's say personally, I'm obsessed by the recent years with the Black Queen. Yeah. It's almost like ambient electro synth pop of the 80s.
I listen to loads of retro synthwave, and dark synth. I listen to loads.
You know that band when I'm talking about, the Black Queen? It's a Greg Puciato from Dillinger Escape Plan singing.
Right, I've not seen them, but I've been to see like Carpenter Brute live and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Dance with the Dead, Ghost, all those bands.
Absolutely.
But I even follow on YouTube. I follow like a new retro wave channel and stuff like that.
Michael Oakley.
I love all that stuff.
But this is the Greg Puciato from Dillinger Escape Plan,
right.
Telephone Tel Aviv, and also one guy who was helping out with the Nine Inch Nails. So insanely amazing project, and I believe you did what you wanted to do.
Again?
the Black Queen.
The Black Queen. Pretty
It's
cool name.
fucking amazing. I'm just obsessed with the band.
Tell you
And I spoke
Make a
about.
note of it before I forget.
Cheers, mate. And I spoke to Steve Lyon.
Oh, right.
I went to London to his studio.
All right. I haven't seen him for years. How
And I
is
went
he?
to Steve. We're doing well. He's having his band working with Amplifier.
Oh, right.
His band,
Is he? Oh, right.
and he's working. He worked with one of the most popular Czech singers, David Koller. He's still having a great job, loving his studio. So he was telling me about the beautiful days of making Host.
Yeah, yeah.
So I would like after write down the Black Queen. Tell me about those days of the Host.
For us, do you know what? I think, well, there's a few different ways I can go about it. One is, people think that when we signed to EMI, they made us go more commercial sounding. They didn't. When we gave them Host, they went, oh,
Are you sure?
We expected something heavier. So they were a surprise. But I think the problem was at the time was we cut our hair. Well, everyone sort of cut their hair. I mean, mine was cut already, so was Nick.
Metallica at the same time, right?
Yeah, similar sort of vibe. But I think between moving to EMI, cutting the hair and going electronic, it was almost too much for people to compute at once. And I spent the next 10 years doing interviews, and the first question was, why did you cut your hair? It's like, mate,
It fucking
come on.
felt like.
But, you know, it's like MySpace, if you remember that years ago. I had so I got so sick of answering that. Well, not sick, but it's like you answered that question hundreds of times. So I had my tagline. I thought I made it up, and my tagline on MySpace was, it's called headbanging, not hair banging.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when you've got a shaved head, you've got to headbang more than if you've got hair. When you've got long hair, you do that, it looks like you're going crazy. But when you've got no hair, you're like, you have to go for it more, which is quite good. It's a nice little workout. So.
Right.
But no, I mean, when we did that album with Steve, we were kind of tired of giving all our money to a studio, so we decided we'd buy the gear to record it ourselves, and we actually rented a manor house that belonged to Jane Seymour, the actress. And it's like the bedrooms. My bedroom had a 4-poster bed, oak panel walls and tapestries on the wall and everything. It had tennis courts, and it was a massive place. So it was like we rented that out. We lived there for a month with Steve, and we sort of like set up like a mixing desk in the library, and we had the drums out in the hall. It was like a massive entrance hall with a big fireplace. We had the drums out there for recording. It was a pretty good experience, really. So it was quite it was quite different from any of the other albums recorded in that respect.
Right.
But do you know, it was exciting for me in a way. It was a little bit different. So normally I play rhythms and acoustics, so I've got like those couple of sounds that's what you've got to do. But when we were doing Host, Greg wasn't as interested in doing guitar because he was working on the keyboards all the time. But the good thing he did was when I said, oh, if I can make my guitar sound like that keyboard sound, can I record it on guitar? He went, yeah, cool, totally do it. So there's like stuff that sounds like keyboard, but it's me on guitar. And it made it more interesting for me in a way, because that's the only album when I've had to play with loads of different effects. Like, you know, and I did it on the guitar, you know, it's like
Nice.
quite interesting. So it was a unique experience for me in that regard.
Totally understand.
I mean, Steve was a lovely fella as well. You know, it was good to work. I wouldn't mind to see him again. It'd be nice to catch up. You know.
He lives on an amazing island in his own studio. It's really far. When I had to go there, it took me 2 hours. My girlfriend was hating me, like, where are we going that far? We're going to Manchester, fucking hell. It's really far, but he lives on a beautiful island. So definitely call him up. But you were saying, staying again with the band for 1 month. I remember Nick telling me about you guys in the really early days being stuck in a studio and playing Ouija board all the time.
Oh yeah, I mean,
It took me like 2 hours when I did that interview for that first front cover interview I ever did, was to find a translation what actually you were guys playing. Nobody could tell me. I couldn't write it properly on Google, and it took me 2 hours to find out what the hell are you guys doing there. I don't know how it even works.
Do you know
what do you do, like kill Tony?
Spelling out thing.
Yeah.
But do you know what? We went to the studio, and it was actually it was part of the Royal Duchess, so it was like a manor house again. It's owned by the royal family, the Queen, basically. But the guy who was sort of renting it and using it as a studio and living there was a guy called Robert John Godfrey, and he had a band in the 70s. He was in Barclay James Harvest, and then he had a prog band called the Enid, a quite big band really. And we went to sort of live with him in this big house, and Simon Efferman. That was the first time we worked with Simon Efferman, the producer. And there wasn't the television in the house. We didn't even get a cassette player until like the second week or something. So we had no music, so we were just bored. We were like playing tricks on each other. It was actually a lot of fun in that way, because we ended up making our own entertainment. So we were like just doing all sorts of stupid tricks on each other and jokes all the time.
Right.
And the Ouija board is something you can do. You can have a piece of paper, you can draw it quite easily. And I came down. I remember I came down for breakfast one morning, about 8 o'clock in the morning. I came down and Steve and Greg were still there pushing it around. They'd been up all night playing on Ouija board, trying to talk to spirits. Oh dear.
Early days.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? It was. It made that album very special in a way, Shades of God. I mean, it was the first one we did with a big budget, because it was the first one for Music for Nations. First one with a proper producer, Simon Effamy. And Simon Effamy is a big mate, you know. He's a top fella. He still is, you know. He works with Napalm Death occasionally and like Ice and stuff. But yeah, no, he was like. It was bizarre because he'd be like, put foot on the mixing desk, couple of beers, it'd be like headbanging while you're recording. And it kind of vibed you up, you know, it got you in the mood, so it was really cool actually. But yeah, no, but I mean, I love it when we go to a studio and we're just stuck there for a month all together, because it's kind of nice. We've done it a lot, most albums we've done like that. You know, and it's kind of nice because then you're concentrating just on the music, and then in the evenings we'll watch comedy programs, you know, and stuff, so, or films and stuff. But, yeah, but I mean, you know, the thing with Paradise Lost is we were friends first, and we're still. I mean, literally, most of the time when we're trying, we're just talking constantly back to each other because we
still keep the chemistry there.
Yeah, it's no different, you know. I mean, I've known Greg since I was 11 years old. He was in the next classroom when I was 11. Tuds.
Amazing.
The original drummer. He came to the gig last night, actually. He sat behind me when I was 11 years old. Nick, I met through a guy in my class when I think I was 13 when I met Nick, through BMXing. We used to go both really into BMXing when we were like, he was 12 and I was 13. You know, I met Steve through our mutual love of metal in the pub. You know, so it was kind of we were friends first, and I think that helps us stay together. I think, you know, because you know when somebody needs space and you leave them, you know, leave them alone, and you know when somebody needs an arm around them and a bit of support, you know, or a fucking good laugh or a lot of beer. We're there for each other all the time, and it's still very much the same, you know. Which is why 30 years later we're still talking to each other, having a laugh. You know, it's good fun.
That's so glad to have.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you invested 40 minutes to me. It was supposed to be 15 minutes. I really appreciate you found this time.
We're having a good chat. I still haven't thought of the book to recommend you.
Still, we can do the while.
Well,
I'll ask you to sign.
I recommended, obviously, that Smaller History of Nearly Everything is good. That book, At Home, which he also wrote, it's a really interesting book. I don't know if it could be more interesting for British people. There's a lot of phrases in there that are English, old English phrases. And people have forgotten why they say them, but they just say them.
Yeah.
And they know they know when to say it, but they don't understand where it came from, I think, sometimes. But I don't know, I mean, then fantasy fiction-wise, the Shardlake books are great. C.J. Sansom. He done a series of books about they're based in Tudor history, sort of the times of Henry VIII. And he's a hunchback lawyer who gets dragged into solving crimes all the time. They're good books. I was obsessed as a kid with the Chronicles of Thomas Covenant by Stephen R. Donaldson. They're like fantasy books. But then he brought out a new trilogy about 15 years ago, and I nearly exploded with excitement when I heard about it, because I read the other books when I was like 14. There's like 2 trilogies, and it's like fantasy is a bit different because he's like the hero of the books, but he's a bit of a twat, and he's a leper, and it's like he's angry. He does stuff wrong all the time, and some of it not nice, but you still root for him for some reason, you know. But yeah, no, and then obviously the books I'm reading now, the Warrior series, like The Last Kingdom, Bernard Cornwall. I'm reading those. I mean, I'm really enjoying those. I'm literally racing through those books. I bought like a set of 8 on Kindle, so I'm halfway through the 4th one now. So yeah, I'll probably have that done by the end of this summer.
End of the summer already?
No, end of the summer, but yeah, I'll have them done. I reckon, you know.
Quite a fast reader.
Yeah. Well, no. Once when we're travelling, it's like that's all I do. You know, put my noise cancelling headphones in, shut everyone off, and then put something like. Actually, it's usually something like Jean-Michel Jarre or something. I don't want metal when I'm listening.
Oh
when
yeah,
I'm reading.
yeah.
So I'll put on something like Carpenter Brute or something like. Yeah, it's been Jean-Michel Jarre, Oxygen and Equinox, both in a row. Or
I remember also amazing British band, The Sundays. I don't know if you heard about those.
Yeah, I need to listen to that.
Writing, reading. What's the name of the album? Really cult, beautiful. Even
stuff like God is an
gentle,
Astronaut I quite like for that. You know,
oh yeah, God is an
like
Astronaut.
But it's I don't know. I don't want anything to distract me too much while I'm reading. It's almost like a background, so I'll listen to it. Sometimes it's like
decent ambient.
Fleetwood Mac's Rumours or.
Do you like the Buckingham Nicks?
Yeah.
The first release they did.
Yeah.
So good.
But I never listened to the first song, Secondhand News, and I don't know why. It just sounds better to me starting on track 2. I don't know why, but I've just always done it. And I love bands like ELO and stuff. Actually, I listen to ELO when we've got turbulence on a plane, because especially Mr. Blue Sky by ELO, and it's a band I've loved since I was a kid for 40 years, right? Victor! And fucking Nick Barker, shut up. And when the plane gets bumpy, I put on Mr. Blue Sky, which is a song I first loved when I was 8 years old, when I was a kid. And it's such an upbeat song, I can't be miserable while it's on. So even as I plane's going to and I'm like this, and it's like, hey, there, something like that. See how the sun shines brightly, and I'm like, it cheers me up.
So cool you're keeping that as positive.
That or Queen's Don't Stop Me Now. That's another good turbulence.
Right. And I'm so sorry we didn't manage to record this on a video, but I was informed you don't like to do video interviews.
No, I didn't say that.
Deserve that.
I didn't say that, no. But no, I don't mind. I don't mind doing video interviews. But we've got audio anyway, it's alright.
Cheers. Sorry about that, because it was really fun and amazing interview, mate. Thank you.
Midlake, The Courage of Others. That's a great album you want to listen to that. The band's called Midlake, Midlake, and the album is called The Courage of Others.
Still recording.
It's kind of like folky, so it's beautiful ambient music. I went to see them play. They played in a church hall, and they were literally sitting in the pews in church with a beer. Fucking brilliant. But they had all the altar candles, all the church candles were on all the way down. And one song, they let the keyboard player play the church organ. They're like, while he was for the song, you could tell he was like, he's loving it. Brilliant. So
it reminds me of the Interstellar.
Yeah.
When they did some great job with the organ.
Yeah.
Did you like the movie?
Yeah, I love the movie. It's fucking great.
Yeah.
To a point where it's like I watched it about 4 times in a row. I think.
I went to IMAX twice.
Yeah, like it's fucking great that film.
Incredible.
I really enjoyed Life that came out last year. I love science fiction. I've been trying to get the courage up to read all the Foundation books again by Asimov, but they're quite hard reads because they're very intricate. He really builds the world in small detail, even the governments and everything. So it's quite a hard read, but they're excellent books. But yeah, no, it's like Life was a great sci-fi last year. But I thought Interstellar, it was really good actually. Really good.
Glad to hear that. So, in order to finalize this, I would like it was a great interview, I would like to give you a front cover. So I really need to have proper email on you, so I can reach you to ask you for proper photo shoots.
Yeah, I mean...
how can I reach you to get some front cover, good, possibly slightly exclusive front cover pictures of you?
Just me on my own?
Oh yeah, just you.
I've got a couple of pictures on my Facebook page, I think, and my Twitter. But it's like the one.
But I can reach you on your Facebook.
It's the one I use. It's the photo I use for like ESP guitars because it's like me with a guitar. So it might be a good one to use actually.
That has to be in high quality, top high quality. So I can probably reach you on Facebook.
Yeah, it's on it's Aaron Aedy Musician.
All right.
It's the recording so it's Aaron Aedy -musician, and then
I got it.
If you message me through that, send me a message.
Deal. I was asked by a friend.
Yep.
I didn't bring my face dividers, not even the front cover, but he asked me to get a few autographs. So if I can kindly ask you.
Do you know what? I've still got that jacket. God, do you know what? I remember this. We were fucking so young. Black on black. I know.
Yeah, you too. Nice. I'm also keeping my jacket from my teenage days. Just don't throw out It's a leather jacket, right?
No, it's a velvet, crushed velvet jacket. We got it as from the. It was actually some stylist who gave it us, and then we ended up keeping it. I've still got it hidden in a wall. It's hidden in storage in a house. It's in storage somewhere.
It was played. What was that Icelandic movie? That girl, her brother got killed in some accident. Metalhead. Have you watched the Icelandic movie?
No, I haven't. No.
Really dark Icelandic movie. You're cheering for the Icelandic team.
Yeah.
They made a very unique.
I'm actually tempted to go to Iceland for a week for my 50th next year.
Clean your mind.
Because I love so much of the history and the way Iceland runs its governments and how they vote and everything. And it's like everyone else nearly in the band except for Steve has been to Iceland except for me, and it's like, fuck, I really want to go. So if we don't play at the festival next year, I'm going to go on holiday there.
Me too.
Because when you see pictures of it, it looks amazing. And the Solstafir guys are lovely as well. We're taking them out with us in the States as well.
Fuck, they're amazing. Yeah. I really love the Solstafir too.
I love them. And they're lovely guys.
And also amazing music to listen while reading.
Yeah, I do. I really like them. So I was quite chuffed when we got them for the American tour. It's a good laugh. We're sharing a bus together, so we're just it's going to be good fun. Yeah, it's going to be good fun.
Appreciate it, man.